Hello, my name is Matthew, and I'm reading The Castle by Franz Kafka. I'm reading the Mark Harmon translation, and I haven't finished it yet, but I've read it maybe 3 or 4 times, and it's one of my favorite of Kafka's longer works. I go back to it often. Um, it has all the trappings that you come to expect in a Kafka story. It's dark, foreboding, nightmarish, claustrophobic. Um, it has that feeling of terror and absurdity that runs throughout all of Kafka's short stories and his handful of novels. The reason that I love The Castle and go back to it uh, fairly frequently is that it's howlingly funny. This is one of the there's a very small list of uh, books, words on the written page that consistently get a physical reaction from me. Guffaws, having to put a book down from laughing, hard, loud laughs. And earlier today, I read one of my favorite scenes and wanted to talk about it. And the humor of Kafka is sometimes overshadowed um, by that darkness and nightmarish vision that he so clearly evokes. But there are masterful comic set pieces running throughout all of his stories, but the castle just takes the cake. And the premise of the story, it has a very simple premise. There's a castle surrounded by a village, and the castle has hired an out-of-towner to do land surveying work. And the story begins with this out-of-towner, this landscaper, land surveyor, unnamed. We only know him by the letter K. And the story begins with his arrival into this crazy town. He goes to an inn very late at night, and there's no vacancies, and he only asks to have a very small space, just a out of the way corner where he can rest his weary bones. And the innkeeper reluctantly gives him a space, but there's other people in this inn. And throughout the whole story, he's basically only met with hostility. And almost as soon as he falls asleep, he's woken up and saying that, and he's woken up and told by one of the patrons of this inn that only people that have a permit from the castle are allowed to stay at the inn. If he doesn't have a permit, he needs to leave. And Kay wants to make a phone call, get it resolved, just finish it up. He's been invited. He was asked to come here, come to this town, come to the castle, so he can do this land surveying work. And he's told he's not going to be able to get a hold of anybody. There's no point making any phone calls. They finally do make a phone call, and after a bit of confusion, the story is full of confusing moments. It gives it that nightmarish or dreamlike quality. Either characters making hypocritical statements or clear contradictions within characters, or basic plot points that don't really make sense. It happens throughout the whole story. And he finally gets to sleep, and the next day, all he wants to do is get to work. And he's going to be this land surveyor. It's and kind of in a funny way, it's considered uh, this very important job. He's going to have a high position as this land surveyor, and he leaves the inn, and he takes a look in the daylight. He takes a look at the castle, and it's not much of a castle at all. It's more of a series of fortified buildings on top of a hill surrounded by a little town. And like you might do if you were a tourist or a traveler aiming to visit some site, he just walks towards the castle through the town. It's a cold, snowy season. He's trudging through ruts and snow and slush and mush, and no matter what route he takes, he can see the castle above the town. But no matter which street he takes, he can never get to the gates of the castle. The roads keep turning away, as if it's like a maze. The town is deserted. There's no one walking through the streets. Finally, other things happen, but he gets invited into somebody's house, and he starts meeting strange characters. He's taken back to the inn, and there's contradiction. There's a mix-up between whether or not he's really supposed to be a land surveyor. As it goes on, we find this huge machine of bureaucracy. There's counts and assistant counts and managers and supervisors, and there's the mayor of the town and the assistant mayor of the town. The castle itself is this insulated government working, where the town and the castle have a complete separation. The villagers basically have no communication with the people in the castle. The castle hold all of the authority, and the more we learn about the workings of the castle, the more baffling and convoluted and haywire it seems as if there's no organization at all, or communication. Meanwhile, the people in the village believe that the castle, the people that are in this castle, make no mistakes. Everything is completely thought over and worked over, and however strange it might seem, it's been determined, and the decisions have been made with purpose, and they are correct. And our main character Kay has a contact, this man that resides in the castle. His name is Clam, Klamm, maybe Clam. I'll say Clam. And throughout the story, just in the same way that he cannot get to the castle, no matter how close, no matter which way he goes, he can't get to the castle. There's this man, Clam, who is nearly unhuman or inhuman, and Kafka is rather brilliant at drawing these figures of authority that seem to be more monster than man. And this figure Clam, we only have almost like a shadowy silhouette of a man that is inapproachable. And all Kay wants to do is get a hold of this guy because apparently he's the guy that hired him to come to do the land surveying work. Everyone else is highly incredulous that he even has a job. The mayor of the town believes that there was a mix-up. He's not even supposed to be there. He has this man Clam from the castle has an appointed messenger, his own messenger named Barnabas, and Barnabas arrives on the first or second night to give our land surveyor Kay his first message, and Kay's happy about this and really eager to send a response. He writes a letter where he tells the messenger, this is what you need to tell this man Clam, and the messenger says, I'll go off and relay the message. I'll be going to the castle. And Kay says, well, I'll go with you. It's the middle of the night. They leave the inn. They link arms, and they're walking through these snowy, cold streets. Jump. And they arrive at a doorway, and it's Barnabas's home. And Kay says, "We're not at the castle." And Barnabas says, "No, we're at my home." And Kay says, "Well, you said that you were going to be relaying the message to the castle. I'm following you in order to make my entrance into the castle." Barnabas says, "Well, no, I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. I was just going home." And Kay says, "Why didn't you say anything?" He says, "Well, you didn't ask." And there's like these strange moments like that. Throughout the story, there's this ever-mounting pressure, tension of nearly like a cat and mouse chase. It's not like that, but Kay trying to get a hold of Clam and almost having these like near run-ins. All of the people that Kay is meeting or talking or being a mouthpiece for Clam and saying he doesn't want to meet you. You'll never meet him. He saw you waiting by the carriage and we had to get rid of you before he would come down, and all of these things. And it's becoming more and more bewildering. Finally, he's kicked out of the inn. He's told he doesn't even have a job. He's now engaged to a woman named Frida. Very strange circumstances. And he's told that his only opportunity in this town is to become the janitor of a school. The building of the school consists of 2 classrooms. It's a building with 2 classrooms, and Kay is now going to be the janitor of this school, and he's going to live there with his fiance and his 2 appointed assistants. I haven't mentioned the assistants. He considers them one person, and he says whatever he tells them to do, they need to do it in concert, and they need to treat themselves as if they are one person. And they create a lot of comic effect, watching 2 people trying to open a door or 2 people trying to make a phone call. And we just have this land surveyor within a matter of days is now on a straw mattress sleeping in a classroom of this school with his fiance and the 2 assistants in bed with him. The first night, wakes up and they overslept, surrounded by school children staring curiously at these three men and a woman just sleeping in the middle of a classroom at school. All of this is going on. Our main character, Kay, our protagonist, the land surveyor, even with all of these mounting absurd situations and unnecessary restrictions piling on top of him, he's still trying to get a hold of this man Clam, and from what he can tell, he's never going to be able to have this confrontation, and everyone in town is having things to say about Clam and how he's never going to meet him and all of those kinds of things. My favorite moment, one of my favorite moments in the book, the part where every time I read it, I lose it. I have to put the book down, and I'm just going to read a message that the messenger that Kay met at the very beginning of his first day. The messenger comes back, and he has a message from Clam, finally. And I'm going to read the message that Clam has for Kay. And if I've given enough of what's kind of going on in the story, maybe you'll get a sense of the kind of humor this story has to offer. So, let's see. Then he read, this is the letter. To the land surveyor at the Bridge Inn, the surveying work that you have carried out so far meets with my approval. The assistant's work is also praiseworthy. You really know how to induce them to work. Do not relax your exertions. Carry your work to a successful conclusion. Any interruption would embitter me. But rest assured, the question of remuneration will soon be resolved. I will keep you in mind. So, we have this man in the castle, this high position, praising Kay for his good work in the land surveying that he's done so far. Which means nothing that we've read so far could possibly be correct. He hasn't done anything. In fact, he's lost his job. He's been kicked out of the inn. He's now a janitor at a school, sleeping in the classroom. There's no way I could possibly do it justice, but it's an amazing moment. Quickly followed up by Kay saying to the messenger, Barnabas, I want you to send another message. I'm gonna write you another message to send to Clam, because we need to clear this up. And Barnabas says, days have gone by at this point. Barnabas says, like, okay, right away, I'll send your message along with your first message. And Kay goes, you didn't deliver the first message? And we learn that Barnabas is like an apprentice shoemaker. And even though he's like this highly official appointed messenger of the castle for Clam, the apprentice shoemaker position is in even higher standing, has precedence over the messenger position. I'm not even sure if I'll post this, because I feel like I've been rambling. I will say it's not a good introduction into Kafka. It's certainly not the first, second, or third thing that should be read. It's the kind of thing that if it's your first toe in the water, it most likely will be off-putting. There's hardly a plot. The story is unsatisfying in the most terminal way. It's an unfinished novel. Kafka died before he could um, finish the book. In a meta way, it sort of uh, follows a certain theme because we never get to where we were hoping to arrive at plot wise, but it's just incredible. It's surreal, absurd, nightmarish, frightening, convoluted, meandering, all of those things. But it's really amusing and a pleasure to read. Almost scene to scene, set piece to set piece. There are these comic workings building on top of one another, and uh, the absurd situations have incredible payoffs. I absolutely love this book, and I'm not sure what else to say. There's a lot of other things going on, and I sort of really touched on one aspect, but The Castle by Franz Kafka, and if you're still watching at this point, my passport arrived, and I am absolutely thrilled. I'm just one step closer to visiting Spain and seeing my beautiful, beautiful, darling girlfriend. So I'm on my way. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you've read The Castle or America or The Trial or any of the short stories. Let me know if you're a fan of Kafka. I love his work. So leave a comment if you would like, and thank you for watching, and take care.